Welcome to Brain Bang TV. Thank you for joining me today. Welcome back to Brain Bang TV, and today this is Jamal James. We're going to be making a t-shirt for the channel. We're going to be making, turning this blank t-shirt, which is pretty decent. I think it's a large. This is going to fit me quite nicely, and I'm going to transfer this into something quite marketable with our branding for the channel on there. So it's going to say Brain Bang TV, and with all the artwork and everything prepped. So throughout this video, that's what you'll be seeing. Stay tuned, guys. Let's go. So I've got the t-shirt. I'm going to place this aside for the minute. Right, t-shirt's out the way. Now, from what we're going to be doing is using two different bits of transfer styles today. So we're going to be using the heat transfer vinyl as well as heat transfer transfer paper, so, which is what this is. This bit of paper here, I've got a plain one. I'm just going to show you. So this is a plain bit of transfer paper, as you can see here. It looks a little bit like a typical A4 paper, just a little bit thicker than usual, right? And I think it's 2 layers. As you can see here, I've peeled out some so you can actually look at it. So this is the paper, the same bit of paper that you can see here. And when you've got your artwork on it, what it does is you can get 2 bits of layers, and as you can see here, you can separate the actual bit of paper that's going to have the artwork on from the actual backing that the transfer paper comes in, and that goes perfectly with some application of heat onto a nice t-shirt, and then you've got your designs up. So as you can see here, this is what we have here. This is the brain that's going to be going on the brain bank, and I've cut that out, trimmed it around the edges and whatnot. You could do the trimming with a plotter, but from the situations I've found, it's not really the most accurate thing to cut with the kind of cheap plotters you get for your home-based businesses and whatnot. So that's why we've freehand cut this brain out of the actual transfer paper, which is why you have this weird looking shape here. So that's where the brains come from. So we've got the brain here. The temperature of the heat press will be set to 175 degrees as instructed by the transfer paper instructions here. You set it 175 degrees at about 30 seconds, and that should be enough to get that nice bit of artwork onto your substrate, which would be the white t-shirt that we'll be using today. Alright, so the next thing that we have that is going to help out in our process here today is vinyl. Now I'm using your typical plain black vinyl, easy read plain black vinyl, because of the instructions on there as well. And as you can see, this is the bit of leftover we have from the strip that we've just used, and this is the artwork, like as I was showing you guys a minute ago. So this will be getting trimmed out and cut into size, and then put across onto the t-shirt around the brain that we have already cut out from the transfer paper. So that's what we're doing today, guys. So really quickly, the artwork's been done prior to this video. It does take a bit of time if you don't know how to use vector programs. You could also check out some of my videos that I'll be putting out there for that. But in the meantime, what we're going to be doing is using the images we have here and just putting it onto a t-shirt, and hopefully that could give our channel a bit of branding and a little bit of I don't know, style, right? Give it some oomph, right? So that's what we're doing anyway. Now, I've got the 2 cutouts, so I'm just going to separate these 2 artworks because they've got on 2 different bits of the actual t-shirt. So I'm going to separate these by just cutting it into right down the middle and separate the 2 artworks. So I'm just going to go here and just grab the tool, the scissors, and just trim this down a bit. Alright. So all I'm doing is creating 2 bits of actual vinyl sticky things that we're going to transfer onto the t-shirt, right? But because the vinyl has a slightly lower temperature setting, what we'll be doing is transferring the transfer paper brain first, because it has a higher temperature. So the heat press has been set to 175 degrees. And now I'm just going to get my t-shirt, position it properly, and start getting some measurements done, right? And see if we can get the angle and whatnot. If I just dust this out a little bit. put this onto our board here. And I'm just going to grab the ruler. But for those of you, I mean, everyone has their own methods of kind of measuring out position for where the actual artwork's going to go. I'm using this very basic, cheap ruler. The t-shirt ruler does the job very, very well, right? So I'm just going to come here, just position this on the t-shirt, see if we can get an accurate measurement of where this should go. So if you can look here, I've kind of managed to get the edges, so the edges mark up, meet up to where the actual neckline of the t-shirt is. So you want to try and get it as accurate as you can, because the ruler is still subjective, and even though it's a ruler and it helps out to get your positioning right, there are other methods of doing this. You could fold a t-shirt into two and then heat press right down the middle of the t-shirt, and it will create that nice linear line for you, which would then give you exactly what position your t-shirt needs to be on the actual printout. So that's what we have there. Do bear in mind, I've separated these two words. So what we're going to do firstly is, because I've not separated the sheet from the transfer paper, so this isn't adhesive yet, so you can position this quite easily on the t-shirt with minimal stress, right? So I'm just going to position that real quick, and the idea here is to kind of figure out where this is going to go based on the actual artwork that we have, right? So I'm just going to get this is still too low there. It's still too low. I think I want the t-shirt slightly higher, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this up a bit, just so I want the words to start slightly higher than the actual brain, right? So I'm just going to position this again somewhere around here. So we've got smack down the middle. If I look at the two angled lines here, that's basically centralized. And get the brain again. And I'm looking here for the 5 and the 5, just to see if I can catch the middle of that very, very accurately. Alright, so we've got the brain just sat there. I like that. That's not too bad. I can work with that. And then I think I'm gonna have that there. So I'll kind of go in with the design you can see here on the screen. So we're kind of trying to replicate that onto a t-shirt, right? So there's not that much room. So yeah, I think that looks good, right? So I think I'll start with the brain being around here. What I'm going to do next is separate the actual brain, sorry, not the written brain, the artwork brain from the sheet, so we can actually have something to cut out. This is going to be a really tricky part, because this is going to be quite tricky, because we've trimmed around the whole of the artwork. We don't really want to mess around with the actual design, right? So I'm trying real hard to pinch up a corner here. Maybe I'll have to do this off issue pinching the artwork, but once you've got it, there's a little trick to this. You want to have a really smooth motion off the back end. Then we've got the sheet. Ideally, this is going to be tricky because the sheet needs to go underneath the brain. So I'm just going to lift that a little and try and position this without that looks about right. That looks about right. Alright, so once we've got the position, I can move this out the way, and then this is ready. 175. 30 seconds. I'm just gonna image onto the t-shirt. It's very tricky to move this around, especially if your heat press isn't too close to where you actually prepare the artwork. So I've got it on here, and now I'm gonna try and heat this. This is for dark fabrics as well. What am I doing? Hopefully this works. Just gonna set that off. Just tighten this a little bit. That's the pressure gauge. Hopefully, we shouldn't need to press this more than once. Just about 10 seconds left. It's a cold peel, or kind of coldish peel anyway. So I'm just going to give it about 3 more seconds or so. And there we have it. Pop it out. Just pull up the print. We want to let this cool down a little before we peel it off. It is a cold peel. So I'm just going to leave that over here. And then, as you can see, that's the back end from the actual brain that we've used. So that's going to go in the bin. I'll leave that for now, demonstrations. Right, so cold peel. Just gonna right, so I don't think it's that cool yet. Let's give it a go. It still has a little way to go, but we have it. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to press it a second time just yet. What I'm going to do instead is press the actual vinyl brain bank onto it, and then we're going to so if I start with the brain, I don't know where I positioned it, but I think with the, so you can see the mark here from where this went round that. Look at that. Look at that. Still got a mark from where it went around. So if I stick that there, get the bank, and where are you? Where are ya? Oh dear. I think that's fairly accurate. And there you have it. What you have is 2 different types of material being used here. You've got the vinyl, which is in the black, as you can see here, not yet pressed, hence you see the shiny film onto it. And then you've got the heat transfer paper, which is the nice bit of brain in the middle with the colours. If you were to attempt to do the brain with heat transfer, you'd have to layer about 3 different colours here to get the same effect, which would make the material a lot thicker. uncomfortable and less appealing to customers. All right, so that's what we have to consider. So now I'm just going to go over to the actual heat press again, and we can get the t-shirt pressed with the brain and the bank attached. Alright, so let's go do this. I'm just going to turn this down a bit because the temperature is set at 175 degrees at the minute, and I'm pretty sure heat transfer says it's 150. I know you could, I still kind of eyeball it really, and it's for 15 seconds I'm pretty sure. So I'm just going to bring this down. There we go. Heat transfer for 15 seconds. Just see what the temperature's set at the minute. 67. So we've got it onto the heat press now. The temperature has been reduced for the vinyl cutout for the text front. So we've turned the temperature down to 150 degrees centigrade at 15 seconds time frame. That's currently at 150. That's interesting. These heat presses drop temperature real quick. But there we have it. I'm just gonna press this down, take the timer away for 15 seconds, and at the same time we're getting the paper transfer sheet, also getting the second press in its life cycle, so that's also very good. Just going to take this off, give it a second or so, and there we have it. Take that off, and hopefully I should be able to peel that off, and also off. Now the reason that's not coming off just yet is because it is a cold peel, so the brain will still have issues. I'm just going to press this on another 15 seconds just to give the heat transfers that bit of rigidity when it comes to the actual heat, right? So a few more seconds and we've got that second press out of the way. I'm just going to check what the cold press is like in a minute. Right, so I'll just get this off. I do have a bit of an issue here because you can see the issue. I will point out something once I get the printouts off, but this paper is specifically meant for dark fabrics, so it's a little bit, it can behave a certain way if you have it on light fabrics. Hopefully I'll be able to show you if I do get that error on this t-shirt that I printed today. You do get the light fabric ones, but I don't like the way the finish is. It kind of reminds me of a very old screen printing t-shirt, you know, when you've got the faded colours on the t-shirt and whatnot. The light fabrics use a very lighter bit of paper, which gives it this weird finish I don't particularly like too much. So that's why I always use the dark fabrics. And I tend to only use dark fabrics when I use the transfer paper, but in this occasion I didn't have any white vinyl left, and I really wanted to make this t-shirt today, so that's what we'll go for, the white fabric, just to show you guys what it's like. But if you just want to come over here and have a look, I might have a bit of an... I have that. As you can see, some of the edges are a bit funny, but in general we got pretty much the look we were going for here. I'll be trying that on and showing you what it looks like in a minute. I'm just going to give it one last press because of the edges of the actual brain. Right, so I'm going to give it one last press, and hopefully that should be more than enough to seal this sucker for the long run. Right, so one last press. This is specifically for the actual brain, because you've got to remember there's a lot going on, it's not just heat transfer. That's what the issue is, alright? So I'm just going to give it about 20-second press on the last bit, just to seal in the transfer paper that we use to print out the brain. Hopefully that should be more than enough to hold this together for the foreseeable future, right? We'll be doing some, well, I'll be showing you the few videos I'll be doing. You will be seeing me demonstrate this on other kind of garments and after wash chests and stuff like that. Alright, just get this out a bit. Yeah, I'm not too keen on the sides of the brain, but I suppose we got the finish. Just gonna turn the heat press off. And again, it's a cold peel. Yeah. A combination of vinyl and transfer paper to get this really funky finish. And this is the vinyl. Right, so I think I missed the intro at the start. No, I didn't. I'm only joking. I'm just saying because I've just made a t-shirt for the channel and this is it here. Wearing it in full. It feels kind of nice. I feel brainier, you know? So yeah, this is what it's like to make your own t-shirt. We've used a combination of vinyl and heat transfer paper today. It does limit you in terms of if you're trying to print stuff in quantity. If you do sell this on a day-to-day basis and you want to print stuff in quantity, you've got to account for the fact that you're going to make errors and you're potentially going to have an accumulated amount of time to be needed to print these in quantities, alright? So a combination of vinyl and heat transfer paper isn't always the best way to go about business. But if you're limited by choice with regards to having vinyl, which only applies one color at a time, then heat transfer paper is probably the right way to go. If you've got any more questions regarding what we've done today and the video I've shared with you, do let me know. Leave comments below and we should respond to that. And let me know what your thoughts are on the kind of videos I'm releasing these days and see where we go from this. Alright, so thank you for joining me today on making a t-shirt for the channel, and I'll be bringing a lot more content to come in the future. Bye for now.